FBI Director Kash Patel says the FBI is dedicating all necessary resources to the incident and that his agency will work closely with the Secret Service and state and federal partners. We'll be keeping you updated on any developments now. But meanwhile, joining us to discuss that shooting death of an armed man who breached the president's private residence is Zack Smith, a legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation and a former federal prosecutor. Good to have you on this morning, Zack. It looks like another possible assassination attempt. Just to get your initial responses here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on the show this morning. As we heard, there's not a lot we know right now other than the details that the sheriff, the FBI, others have conveyed. But I think this highlights the very real danger that our elected officials are facing today. And part of the reason I think we are seeing so much angst among law enforcement officials about trying to protect the president, trying to protect members of Congress, trying to protect members of the Supreme Court is because of the very heated rhetoric we're hearing from so many across the political spectrum today. And unfortunately, that heated rhetoric often encourages these types of violent acts. And I think, again, this attempted this breach into Mar-a-Lago, where clearly this individual had no good intents in mind, really highlights the dangers that many of our elected officials face today.
So for yourself, having a deep understanding of the law and the system as a whole, what else can people do if they are in that kind of headspace that's perhaps become extreme to the point that they want to take action? What other avenues are available to people to within the system itself?
Yeah, well, obviously, individuals need to get help if they are not mentally well or having other problems. And I think, as you're hearing from some of this young man's family members right now, they were concerned about him. And so I think friends, family should alert authorities if they are fearful that one of their loved ones may attempt an atrocious act like this. But look, again, these are very serious things. We heard from the sheriff there that he was ordered to put down his weapon, that he then raised it to a shooting position. And unfortunately, as a result, law enforcement were left with no choice but to neutralize that threat. You know, one of the other interesting things we heard from the FBI agent in charge there in the Miami field office, he was encouraging those who live around Mar-a-Lago to check their video cameras to see if there may be additional footage or information out there where the FBI can track this individual's movements. Now, this also has been very important in other investigations that are ongoing right now, like the Nancy Guthrie disappearance, where obviously those Ring video cameras, other home security systems are playing an increasingly important role in many of the investigations that the FBI and other law enforcement officials are undertaking.
Yeah, what other legal proceedings and investigative proceedings do you expect to kick into gear at this point?
Well, obviously, since the suspect is deceased at this point, there won't be a prosecution of him, at least. I suspect the FBI will be looking to try to figure out what his motivations are. They'll be looking to see if anyone aided or helped him in any way. And so this is in the very preliminary stages right now. I suspect the FBI, other federal law enforcement agencies know a lot more than they are publicly disclosing right now. But look, anytime a life is lost is a tragic event, but I think we all are and should be thankful that no other individuals were harmed, no other lives were lost during this event.
So where do we go from here? You've mentioned the political violence that's really rocked the country, even in just the last year in so many ways, but of course over the decades. What's next? What's the potential path forward towards more peaceful political process?
Yeah, so look, again, we don't know this individual's motivation in this particular case, but I don't think it will come as a surprise that many, particularly many on the left, have been using very incendiary rhetoric. You had Hakeem Jeffries, the Speaker of the House, urging individuals to fight the Trump agenda in the street. I think that type of rhetoric is not helpful. So I think many are hopeful that those very incendiary statements would recede, that elected officials would be more circumspect in their public statements. And then I also suspect you are going to see a continuation of a reevaluation of the security that many of our high-ranking elected officials are receiving. Obviously, there have been multiple attempts on President Trump's lives. We heard J.D. Vance's home in Ohio was broken into not that long ago. Obviously, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, other members of the court have received threats as well. And so I think the federal government, federal law enforcement agencies are going to continue to evaluate the threat landscape and continue to adjust their protection of these high ranking officials as needed.
Well, it's great to speak with you this morning, and thank you so much for your time and your insights, Zack Smith.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.